Hey guys, I want to welcome you back to another episode of Pistons Talk Podcast post-game show. Hope you guys are having a great Monday night. Pistons just got done playing the Indiana Pacers, another Central Division rivalry game. Played the Bucks last weekend and got the Pacers on a Monday night in Indiana. So this was a very interesting game. I see a lot of Pistons fans actually upset with just the overall process of this game and how it was played, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But if you're brand new here, what we do is we go over quarter notes. After I'm done with these quarter notes, we'll open up the show to questions, comments, and overall thoughts. It's kind of like a Q&A section. So if you guys have any thoughts with today's game, certain players you want me to talk about, definitely leave it in the comments section down below. So to start this game, Duran was the only one scoring within like the first quarter. He had all 6 points very early on in this first. And I kind of felt, and after I kind of looked at the box score, maybe I was like, maybe I'm being too hard on Duran. I felt like this wasn't his best game, but he still played pretty well. Um, Indiana did a really good job of crashing the glass overall in this game, but I thought Duran just didn't get to the free throw line as much as he usually does. Felt like he did get hacked quite a bit, but we'll kind of get into that a little bit later. But Duran came out, had some energy. Duncan Robinson was getting them going very early on, but this was a very back and forth game. Pistons kind of going on a little 7-0 run after Rick Carlisle did call a timeout when they went up 13-12. And there was just a lot of fouling in this first quarter towards the end of it. And it just got to a point where Indiana kept getting back into the game because you're slowing the pace. And towards the end of the first quarter, you saw Jaden Ivey score 5 points very quickly. And he had 7 points to lead the Pistons in scoring after one. It was 35-32 after 12 minutes of action. Going into the second quarter, both teams just traded baskets. There was not a lot of defense played very early on in the second quarter. Pistons defense had started turning up. They made some stops. They opened up to the lead to 15 points at one point, and then just kept, adding to it. And it got to a point where I was like, okay, maybe this is where, the Pistons kind of just go away with this one and the Pacers are just laid down. And you kind of saw that in the second quarter a little bit. There was a little bit of a, Tobias Harris play where he shot a three and he didn't have any landing space, and Pascal Siakam fouled him. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is, Tobias just missed 9 games with an ankle injury, but he was okay. He played the rest of the game. We'll have to see like how his ankle is and if he is on the injury report, because they do play the Celtics in Boston on Wednesday. So keep an eye on that. Ben Mathurin tried starting stuff with Duncan Robinson, probably one of the nicest guys in the NBA. But anytime Benedict Mathurin plays the Detroit Pistons, I think he's still a little bit salty over the whole NBA draft of him wanting to go 5 to Detroit, and he didn't get selected by Detroit. As we know, we selected Jaden Ivey over him, and he's still kind of salty over the whole thing. But that kind of went on in the second quarter. There's a little bit of chippiness there with Benedict Mathurin and Duncan Robinson. And Pacers didn't score for over 4 minutes in this one, and the Pistons had a 70-55 lead going into halftime. Another half where they're scoring 68, 69, 70 points. So they're coming out of these halves very aggressive and very strong, which you like to see. They shot 58.5% through 24 minutes of action. But I think coming out of halftime, this is where I think the game got frustrating. And I saw a lot of Pistons fans talking about it on the timeline while I was watching the game and scrolling. Like, Pacers open up this third and they go on a 10-4 run. They got within 12, right? And you're up 19 at one point. The Pistons offense was just very sloppy in the half court. They really couldn't get anything, going. There was no rhythm. It felt like the Pacers were really just disrupting what the Pistons wanted to do. and the Pacers surged and they got within 7 in this third quarter. But last 2 minutes of the third, the Pistons decided that, you know what, we're not letting them get back too close into this game. They go on a little run and they end the third 101-88. So it kind of felt like, okay, the Pistons are kind of just like saying, you're not coming back in this game. You're not getting that close. And we go into the fourth, and the Pistons come out aggressive for the first couple of minutes. And then it was this Jarris Walker. I'm going to decide I'm Steph Curry tonight. The guy is not a good 3-point shooter. And if you watch the game tonight, you wouldn't believe me. He just went freaking crazy. Like it was magnet ball type stuff. Every time he shot it, it seemed like it was going in. Indiana went on a 13-4 run at one point in this fourth quarter, got within 4. And then the Pistons just kind of punch back throughout this game. They go up, 10. Pacers get it back within 3. Cade hits a very, very clutch shot against Benedict Mathurin really late to make it a 3-possession game, and the Pacers had the foul, and the Pistons win their 13th game in a row. Really weird game. And before we kind of open up to comments and questions, I want to say this. That was a team that just went to the NBA Finals, okay? People will look at the record that they're 2-15 now. They'll look at, they don't have Tyrese Halliburton. We should beat this team easily. Rick Carlisle is a very good coach. If anything, the Pacers are going to play hard all season. Obviously, I thought the Pistons should have won this at least by, 10 to 12 points. But the Pacers just wouldn't go away. TJ McConnell is just a pest out there. He's a very good player. And that's all I really want to say. I get Pistons fans are frustrated, that the way that they played, maybe there's some possible slippage. I'm not really sure about that. I just think the way the Pacers are coached, the way Rick Carlisle gets those guys prepared, they're a good basketball team. They're 2-15. And they've had a shitload of injuries, you guys. I mean, you look at their injury report. I mean, they're missing multiple guys. I mean, they're playing guys that normally wouldn't even be on their roster, and they're getting big minutes. But obviously, the Pistons improved to 15-2. They tie a franchise record with 13 straight wins. Do want to get into the box score, and then we'll open up the show to any comments, questions, concerns with this basketball team as they sit as the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference right now. So Tobias Harris in this one, 26 minutes of action, 12 points, 4 out of 8 from the field, 1 out of 2 from 3, 3 out of 3 from the free throw line. He was a +2 in this one. Also grabbed 2 assists and 1 steal. Duncan Robinson in this one, 34 minutes played, 9 points, 2 out of 10 from the field, 1 out of 8 from 3, 4 out of 4 from the free throw line. And then he did get a steal and 3 rebounds. The one thing I want to say about Duncan Robinson tonight, you may look at the box score and saying, like, wow, he had a really bad night. Honestly, like a lot of his attempts, they were clean, open looks. He just wasn't hitting the shots. I mean, like any other night, he might finish with like 15 to 20. I thought a lot of the shots that he was getting, especially from 3-point range, most nights he's gonna make those. So he got to his spots. I just felt like the ball just wasn't going in. You have nights like that, so I wouldn't get too concerned with Duncan Robinson having 9 points and shooting 20% from the field tonight. I just wouldn't. I thought the process of him getting to his spots was great. Jalen Duren, I mentioned in this point, it kind of felt like a bad game, but then when I looked at the box score, I was just like, maybe I was being a little bit too hard on him. He finished with 17 points, 6 out of 10 from the field, 5 out of 8 from the free throw line, 12 rebounds, 2 assists, 7 rebounds. Did have 5 personal fouls in this one, which I honestly felt like a lot of the fouling in this game was like really just out of control. Kind of felt like the ref show. I feel like a lot of officials sometimes get way too into this game and kind of make it about themselves. That's the type of officials I thought we had tonight. Is anytime Scott Foster is officiating a game, it just goes down it just goes down the rails. It gets so bad. Like I don't know what it is when he officiates games, but it's just pure chaos. Even like not even Pistons games. I remember watching playoff games last year when he was officiating. It was just terrible. Getting back to the box score, Kate Cunningham in 36 minutes, 24 points, 8 out of 18 from the field, 0 from 2 from 3. Got to the free throw line quite a bit, 8 out of 10 from the line. I felt like Kate could have got there 15 times tonight. He was getting hacked like a mofo. Did have a double-double in this one, had 11 rebounds, 24 points, 6 assists, only 3 turnovers. It's pretty good considering how much he did have the ball in his hands. So finishes with a double-double. Pretty good. Sar Thompson in this one, 31 minutes played, 13 points, 6 out of 9 from the field. He had 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal. I thought the defense he was playing tonight was phenomenal. He was everywhere out there. It's just something that you expect out of a Sar Thompson. So good to see him, just locking guys up. Isaiah Stewart in this one, 20 minutes, 9 points, 5 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 block. I would have liked to see Stu a little bit more in this one personally. I felt like just on the glass, we're getting crushed. Um, Obviously, you want to roll with your starters, but I felt like Stu should have probably got a little bit more clock in this one. But hey, man, that's just me. Ron Holland in this one didn't score in 11 minutes, had 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, and 1 tie up with TJ McConnell. Oh my God, that was the most aggressive tie up I've ever seen from Ron Holland. I know you guys call him 5-hour energy. I'm starting to see why. It's hilarious. Javante Green only played 11 minutes in this one. 2 points, 1 out of 2 from the field, and he's kind of seen his role get diminished since Tobias has come back, which I kind of hate to see because I felt like he was just such a big piece for this team during the injuries. Not saying that I don't like Tobias Harris in the starting lineup. It just sucks when bench guys like that kind of get their role diminished, and we'll kind of get into Donis Jenkins as well because I saw some people kind of upset with him not getting second half clock. Karis LeVert in this one had a really good game against his former team in 23 minutes. He had 19 points, 5 out of 9 from the field, 3 out of 6 from 3, 6 out of 9 from the free throw line. Had 3 assists in this one, 1 steal, 1 block. Good to see him score the ball a little bit more because I think that's what the Pistons need out of him off the bench. Jaden Ivey obviously is still on a minute restriction. Only played 12 minutes tonight, 12 points, 5 out of 10 from the field, 2 out of 3 from 3. His 3-point shot looks great. Looks like the same as it was last year when he was shooting 40% from 3. Obviously, JB said that they're going to get Jaden Ivey acclimated slowly because it's been over a year since he's really played organized basketball. So they're being very precautious with how much they do play him. So just expect Jaden Ivey to be on a minute restriction, but a point a minute's not bad for your second game back. It's really not. And then Donis Jenkins, 8 minutes in this one, 5 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, and 1 huge block on Jay Huff. He had a really nice block against a 7-footer, made it look easy. I was kind of disappointed he didn't play at all in the second half. Now, I get you have a lot of players in the rotation. I mean, JB had talked about how he's trying to, cut the rotation because last game he played 13 players. Obviously, you know, manning a 12-man rotation is probably very difficult. He says we're just going to go on a first half basis. So if you play well in the first half, you'll get clock on the second half. But I mean, I don't expect him to play a 12-man rotation. I just don't. That's a lot. I think 10 to 11-man rotation's a lot. So it'll be interesting to see how it does kind of work out with this rotation and stuff like that. But want to get into comments and questions with you guys. Open up the show with you guys. So I do see a few comments here. So let's get to it. G Stu 114 says, I don't care what the record is for the Pacers. Anytime you can beat their whining ass team, it's a good day. Yeah, I mean, if you grew up as a Piston fan, which, when I was a kid, like the Jermaine O'Neal, Reggie Miller, Steven Jackson, like those were bloodbaths as a kid growing up, right? Obviously, they're without Tyrese Halliburton for this season, but anytime you can beat them, it's a good day if you're a Detroit Piston fan. You're 15-2, they're 2-15. I mean, it's like perfectly balanced. The records are just kind of flip flopped, but I'm sure the Pacers will bounce back. And what's kind of funny about this whole thing is they got their draft pick back. I know I mentioned it the last time we played the Pacers. The Pelicans had their draft pick and they traded it back to them during the NBA Finals. And so they're going to have a good draft pick this year. But yeah, man, anytime you can beat the Pacers, I feel like it is a good day. Jay Hart, character win there, fellas. Glad to see Cade and Levert go back and forth like that in this game. By the way, Angry Cade in the fourth is becoming a thing. Can't wait for that shoe to drop. Yeah, I mean, like, even Cade was kind of like disappointed with the process of how they play the game. He said, we got to watch the film and not be happy about it, how we played. He felt like the Pacers shouldn't have got back into the game as many times as they did. And you love to hear that from your franchise guy. And something about the fourth quarter, man, he just goes crazy. Pretty sure he leads the NBA in fourth quarter scoring. Still, I would have to look up the numbers. But yeah, Angry Cade is just so fun to watch, especially when he headbutts or he's yelling at the ref. He felt like he got fouled on the Benedict Mathurin play, and you could really see he was animated with the officials. Thought he should have got to the free throw line, and you look at the play, he probably should have more than he did tonight. But I like this game for the Pistons, like this win. 13 straight, have a chance to possibly break the record against the Boston Celtics on Wednesday. But hey, man, I'll take it. I really enjoy watching Jenkins. I was disappointed not to see his energy in the second half. Yeah, same here, man. Like I felt like when we've watched Dennis during this winning streak and when the injuries were happening, I felt like he really played his way into getting minutes, right? And I honestly believe like it's going to be really hard for JB to find minutes because if you look at just the guard depth, like you got Cade, you got Ivy now, you got Karis LeVert. I honestly think there is minutes for Dennis. It's this probably not going to be in the high 30s like we saw when Cade was out and Ivy was out. It might be 10 to 15 minutes a game now, just because of the depth that they do have. But I would have liked to see him in the second half. I just don't know like where you would put him, where you would sub him in, because Karis had it going, Cade was going. Um, Ivy was kind of on a minute restriction with 12 minutes played. So not really sure, where JB would like to substitute Danis from here on out, but it's something to monitor if you are paying attention to just the rotation. They're playing like 12 deep right now, so it'll be interesting to see how much clock he does get from here on out. Derek Brown, what's up, Anthony? I love TJ McConnell. Yeah, same here, man. I got a fun fact for you guys. TJ McConnell is former teammates Stanley Johnson. That's a fun of a fact, actually. They both played in Arizona. He did have a really cool moment. I don't know if you guys saw it with Dennis after the game. TJ is also an undrafted guard, and I'm sure Dennis really appreciated that. I mean, he's been one of the best backup point guards in the NBA for years. I feel like every time I watch him, he is just killing opposing teams. He just plays with just like a ferocious motor. And I'd be lying to you if I said I wouldn't love a player like that on my team. Like he's just such a fun player to watch. But he is on my Pistons killer list. Seems like every time he does play us, he just goes berserk, goes absolutely berserk. Red Baron does have a question saying, I might think about moving Stu back into the starting lineup. It unlocks Duran and gives us an opportunity to play Paul Reed and use Tobias is a sixth man weapon. That's interesting. I honestly think like Tobias back in the starting lineup, I don't really have a whole lot of issues with it. I know some fans obviously would like to see Isaiah Stewart and Jalen Duren play. I do think down the line though, like Tobias coming off the bench would not be out of the question. It just wouldn't. I think what Tobias does give you a different look from Stu is his ability to, put the ball on the floor a little bit more consistently. Not saying that Stu can't. Tobias is just a little bit more skilled in that aspect, but I do like Stu and Duran out there a whole lot. I think it does give you physicality. It gives you just the advantage on the glass, I think, with those two out there. But I mean, I know we're talking about like rotations. Like Paul Reed barely got to play tonight. I don't even think he did play tonight. If we were looking at the box, so I'm pretty sure he didn't play. But I mean, it just kind of shows you the depth right now with this team. Nick, what's going on with Ron Holland? Also, we should get Paul Reed more touches, brings in great energy. I think with Ron, and I've kind of touched on this a little bit, definitely going through a sophomore slump. I think last year, a lot of teams didn't know Ron Holland. Obviously, is a rookie. There's not a whole lot of tape unless these teams are watching G League Ignite or Summer League tape. Ron is just a million miles an hour type of player. Loves to run in transition, but I think teams have figured out how to guard him. I think that's what's been going on with him. It's just a sophomore slump. It just depends like how long, the second year slump is going to last. He seems like the type of player where he'll figure it out. I mean, we're only in November. Obviously he has had a lot of games where, it's just not it leaves you wanting more as a Piston fan, I should say. Still a good player. He's still bringing it defensively. It's just not really impacting the game in the scoring column, which I think he will figure out. You also mentioned you want to get Paul Reed more touches, brings in great energy. I agree. Anytime Paul Reed does come into the game, he brings energy, blitzes on the perimeter, which I absolutely love that about him. Like out of all of our bigs, I love the way he does blitz on the perimeter and pressure ball handlers. But it's probably really hard to find minutes for him when you have Jalen Duran and Isaiah Stewart, unless they're in foul trouble or someone gets injured. I think it's definitely going to be a thing where he might not get as much playing time as he used to. Get to a couple more comments and questions. See a lot of people kind of talking about the rotation, saying it's ruined since Tobias came back. I don't really think it's ruined. I think it's just a thing right now where JB is trying to find a good combination with it. I mean, Tobias was out for 9 games. They still found a way to win, but he's still valuable out there. I don't really know like what the long-term bench solution will be for this team. I'm sure JB is still figuring it out. With having Ivy back too, that's a lot. I mean, Tobias missed 9 games. This is only Ivy's second game back, so it's just a thing where he's got to figure it out. And he's a good coach, and I'm sure he will. Marquez, where do you see the Pistons streak coming to an end? I'm not really sure. You play a lot of Eastern Conference teams that you've faced outside of Miami. You play Boston on Wednesday. They're playing a lot better since the last time you seen them last. And you'll be in Boston on an ESPN game this week, so it'll be a nationally televised ESPN game. Peyton Pritchard is shooting the 3-point ball a hell of a lot better. Derek White has kind of found his 3-point shot as well. And then you have to deal with Jaylen Brown, who's just been on the tear offensively this year. Boston will be a big challenge for sure. I mean, if you guys remember, they were down 15, 18 points to Boston. They came back at home against the Celtics. So, the Celtics are going to be a challenge. I think you do have a good opportunity to go into Boston and win that game. And then you have a back-to-back. You have an in-season tournament game on Friday against the Orlando Magic. The Magic are playing much better, and it's kind of funny. They actually play better without Paulo Banchero. They've been on kind of a winning streak as of late. They're much improved since the last time we've seen them. Seems like they're starting to figure out their defense. Obviously, we knew like offensively they were trying to push the pace. Like Orlando's going to be a tough game on Friday at home in LCA, and then you have to travel down to Miami to end the week against the Heat. And the Heat are another team that are a fast-paced team. They're trying to um, play high tempo. They score a hell of a lot of points. Bam Adebayo and Norman Powell are problems. They just got Tyler Hero back, so Tyler Hero has been just a flamethrower anytime he does play the Pistons. I'm sure you guys remember him getting games back against Detroit with his 3-point shooting. So I think all of these games are winnable. But nights like tonight, you've seen these are NBA players. On any given night, you can lose to an NBA team. You just have to clean stuff up. Obviously, the rotations are a little bit janky right now just because you have Jaden Ivey and Tobias coming back and you're trying to figure out new combinations and kind of just, distributing the minutes. So it's a thing where JB is just still adjusting on the fly. He's even said, like in press conferences, that he's never had to work with the 12-man rotation. He's never had a team that deep before. So it'll be interesting to see what does kind of happen with the rotations with all these guys getting healthy. Joy says there is too much whining about this game. This is the NBA. It's not easy to win. Sometimes players have off nights. Okay, be thankful the Pistons won on the road versus a team desperate to win. Yeah, and that's kind of my takeaway with it too, Joy. It's like I'm not going to ignore what Indiana did last year. If Pascal Siakam is a champion. TJ McConnell's a good player. Like Indiana will get right. Once they get some of their guys back, they're not going to be one of the worst teams in the Eastern Conference. They're just not. They've just been just derailed with the injuries. Obviously, did the Pistons play their best game tonight? Absolutely not. There are many lapses in this game where they didn't really execute in their half court sets, especially in the second half. But when it came to crunch time, they found out how to win. They just kind of kept going. Kate said, I'm going to take it over. Let's close this out and worry about Boston on Wednesday. Wasn't pretty, but hey, man, win's a win, I guess, right? Get to a couple more comments and questions. Pistons fan, Indy, shout out to him. Could you hear me during the Pacers free throws towards the end? I took the Pistons, Thunder sticks, and everything. I honestly had the game on mute. And I'll tell you why. I'll have to go back and watch it to see if I could hear you. I love that the Pistons are on this winning streak. I really do, you guys. And I have a lot of friends that work at FanDuel, right? I think it's getting distracting bringing up the winning streak every 20 seconds. I really do, right? Like it's becoming a distraction at this point. Like, just let these guys play. Like, if you want to ask them about like the winning streak during a post game press conference or before the game, sure. But like the broadcast brought it up so much where this is the first time where I actually had to mute the game because the announcers just kept bringing it up every 20 seconds. It's just like it's getting to a point where it's a little bit annoying. Like just call the game, watch the game. A lot of these guys are having career years, and we keep bringing up a winning streak. It is important, the first time that you've tied, uh, winning 13 straight games with the bad boy Pistons and the going to work Pistons. I think that's incredible. But bringing it up every 20 seconds, I think is just really annoying to me. But hey, man, that's just me. That's just me. Get to a couple more comments and questions, and then we'll end this podcast. I like Ron Our Energy better. Hey man, trademark that. I know how some people are. Ron Our Energy could definitely be a marketing campaign. It definitely could. Do one more comment and question. Give it to Wes. I gotta ask. I know you're not a fan of the Anthony Davis trade, but if you could get him and Clay and keep Asar instead of trade with Utah, does that put you over the top? Um, I know I've told you guys like I'm kind of not really in the conversations, the trade conversations, I should say. If we're going to play hypothetical, I don't really think trading for Anthony Davis or Clay Thompson makes a whole lot of sense for this team just for where they want to go. And then like the contract extensions that they probably want to get done. We all know Clay Thompson is a 4-time champion, right? We all know that. He's a lot older. He's not the same player he used to be. Anthony Davis, 14th year, NBA champion as well. He's been a really great player throughout his career. I don't really think it would put the Pistons over the top because the Mavs would probably want a bulk of your young core and draft picks. And then you have players that you're trying to extend, and both Clay and Anthony Davis are on big deals. I think trades like that would just kind of derail what you kind of want to do, like long term, personally. And this is the last thing I will say about trades, right? If the Pistons do make a trade this year, it will be a very marginal one. It won't be a big splash. It won't be for Lauri Markkanen. It won't be for Anthony Davis. It won't be for Jaren Jackson Jr. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense when you're looking at what the Detroit Pistons want to try to accomplish. Keeping flexibility, which Trajan has said multiple times, evaluating. Teams that are evaluating don't put all their chips in for a guy that is on a $50 million deal. They just don't. Trajan has just really preached patience with this group. And I honestly think that they aren't really going to make any bonehead trades like in previous years. But I know I said one more question, but I'll probably answer a couple more. So I do see one from Pistons fan 11 saying we have so many options. That is a good thing in the long run. And hey, our GM loves optionality, and we have it right now. Yeah, I mean, when you kind of look at this roster, like there's a lot of guys that are on deals that are favorable. There's not anyone on long-term money outside of Stu and Cade, and those are cornerstone pieces. You got your franchise point guard locked up for the next 4 to 5 years. You got Stu and a veterans, not a veterans minimum, excuse me, mid-level exception. Basically, he's making 15 million. Again, like in terms of just like the trade talk, I don't really think this team is looking to break up half of their core, just to make a splash for someone like that. Just got on here, but did the fouls seem excessive on both sides? Would also love to see you collab with Kofi, Anthony. Shout out to you, Michael. I thought so. I thought when I was watching this game, it wasn't really officiated down the middle. Maybe that's a little bit of Pistons bias leaking out for me. But it seems like Cade was getting hacked quite a bit. Seems like JD was getting grabbed. His jersey was getting tugged every time he had 2 feet into the paint. Felt like he should have got to the free throw line a lot more. It did seem a little bit excessive. But I mentioned it earlier. Anytime Scott Foster officiates a game, it's just pure chaos. He has no control. And then you had Brett Barnaby, who is also not one of my favorite officials. Anytime I see his name, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a long night. But yeah, it did seem a little bit excessive on both sides. Obviously, I felt like the Pacers got hacked quite a bit, but I felt like the Pistons got kind of like the wrong end of the whistle on this one tonight. I felt like they could have got to the free throw line way more. Also, would love to see you collab with Kofi. I did reach out to him last year. And I know he's a big Pistons content creator, big content creator just in general. Maybe I'll reach out to him again and try to get him on the podcast, but we'll see if he does answer my message this time. Do one more question. No, I've been saying one more question for the past 10 minutes. And I see it from Piston Fan 11. I think a trade like Dennis Schroeder won last year trade exception to address the biggest need. Yeah, I mean, like that was a considered a big move for the Pistons at the deadline last year, but they do have a trade exception that they can use. About 14, I think it's like 14.8 million or 14.2 million worth of trade exceptions that they can use in trades from the Dennis Schroeder trade. And I don't even really know what this team's biggest need is. You could probably say 3-point shooting. Um, I think they're kind of a below average 3-point shooting versus last year. They could use more shooters. I don't really know like how many 3-point shooters are really like on the open market. Like the one that comes to mind is Kevin Herter from the Chicago Bulls. I feel like he's gettable for the right price. He's a good 3-point shooter. Um, Maybe you call Chicago to see if you can get a deal done with him, but they'll probably ask for a first because their asking price for their players is just ridiculous at this point. But maybe you look at a guy like that. You look at some 3-point, sharpshooters out there. Maybe you call Sacramento, see what you can get for Keon Ellis. I think Keon Ellis is a very under the radar, interesting name. If you guys have kind of kept up with his career, he's a very underrated 3-point shooter and a very good defender. This doesn't get a whole lot of clock in Sacramento because of their guard depth. Maybe you call Sacramento to see what you can get for a Keon Ellis. But again, it's a guard. We have so many guards. I don't really know like what this weakness of this team is. To me, I think it's just 3-point shooting right now, but that's just me. Maybe you guys think it's more forward depth. Maybe you think it's, you know, possibly more point guard depth, which I don't really think because you got Cade and you got Karras and Jaden Ivey and Dennis Jenkins kind of playing that guard. But I will wrap up this podcast because I do have some more work to do after I'm done talking with you guys. But appreciate all you guys in here. Appreciate you too, Derek, for always coming on in when you can. We'll see you guys on Wednesday immediately after the Pistons versus the Boston Celtics game. Hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Take care, and as always, go Pistons. Peace.